had the boo-boo blues. Yeah, I've had some boo-boos, honey. I've been like you.
Hi, and welcome back to Tell Me What Happened, the podcast that features folks from all walks of life telling us one formative story from their childhood and how that story has impacted who they are today. I'm your host, Jay Rehak, and like you, I've had my share of childhood experiences. Some of them great, some of them kind of painful. But I'd like to think that everything that happened to me as a child has helped make me who I am today. Tell Me What Happened is sponsored by Sidelining Publishing, publishers of quality books, including Susan Salidor's One Little Act of Kindness, available on Amazon.com or wherever quality books are sold. Tell Me What Happened is also sponsored by LaughSaver.com. Visit LaughSaver.com and record your laughter. We'll keep it for you, now and forever. It's free, and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren will appreciate it. That's LaughSaver.com. All right, today I have as my guest Bree Lind. Bree is an actor and writer from Seguin, Texas. You can catch her in Jordan Peele's Candyman, Showtime's Work in Progress, or improvising around Chicago and the rest of the world. Welcome, Bree.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you on the show. Listen, Bree, are you ready to tell your story?
I think so, yes.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to mute myself, let you tell your story. And at the end, I'm going to ask you exactly one question. How has that childhood experience impacted who you are today? Take it away, Bree.
Awesome. Okay, I would like to start my story kind of a little bit before me, but I'll start with my parents. And my dad is a farm boy, as he would call himself, from Iowa. And he moved to Seguin, Texas when he was about 30. And during that time, as soon as he moved, he met my grandpa, who then introduced him to my mom and my brother. So my mom likes to say that my brother was, before my dad, he was all dirt bikes and skateboards. And then my dad came along and it became horses and raising lambs and being on the ranch and cows. So fast forward a few years, I come into the world and my family has definitely, they are in this lifestyle of, my brother is kind of this star rodeo person. And he would later grow up to be a cowboy, as the textbook definition of a cowboy. And my dad is like right there alongside him and coaching him every step of the way. And every weekend we're going to a rodeo. Even as I was an infant, it was my mom taking me, and I would sit there in the little carrier. But as I got older, I'd be playing in the dirt and being in kind of being in the thick of it with everyone else. Well, I guess I'm about 5 or 6 at this time. And I decide it becomes the time in my family where it's like, okay, now it's Bree's turn to get into rodeo. So my dad was so gung-ho about this, getting his little girl into the same arena with him and on the horses. And of course, my mom in the opposite spectrum was like so nervous because she was like, I don't want her to get hurt. and it's just kind of, a small girl on a big horse. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. It was very much, I think they would be comfortable with me saying it was like a paycheck to paycheck house. So everything was kind of everything was very thoughtful that we did when it came in terms to activities and what was going on in the house and extracurriculars. And so my dad, we saved up some money and we went on eBay. I think eBay was just coming onto the scene, and my mom has this, she had eBay so she could buy scrapbooking stickers. So her name on eBay was Buy Now Scrapbook. I remember and she would just get all these scrapbooking stickers so she could scrapbook for me and my brother. So we are on this Buy Now scrapbooking account, and we have been bidding on this saddle for me. I mean, it was like weeks, they put it on and you're like every day checking, you're like, well, who's the highest bid? Who's the highest bid? So weeks later, we check it and we won the saddle. And it was my dad was so excited and I was so excited. We grew up my house it was a very small house, and we grew up on about an acre of land, which isn't really big enough for a horse. So we would keep my brother's horses and our animals down the road at our neighbor's house. And he lived, and his name was Steve Kaler, and Steve Kaler lived on this huge, sprawling Texas ranch, like exactly what you picture in books and like in Lonesome Dove. You're like reading it, and you're like, oh, that's the ranch I picture. And so we would go there and we drive down the road, and my dad's like Polaris, which it's like a golf cart, basically. I don't know if that's like a Texas thing or everyone has a Polaris. So we would drive down the street in a Polaris, and we're there with the saddle in the back seat. And we get there, and it's like an August Texas day. It's so hot. And my dad and me, we put my new saddle on the horse, and we had two horses. One was named Deucey, and the other one was named Spanky. I don't know who came up with the names. I'm obviously my brother. I didn't have anything to do with it. So we put the saddle on the horse, and we are going around this little arena that our neighbor has set up for me. It's a very small circular arena. And we're going around and we're going around. And my dad likes to say that I kept saying, okay, Daddy, like, when am I going to go fast? When are we going to go fast, Daddy? And he was like, no, we're staying in the arena, and then we're going to go for like a trail ride. And we go, so we're going like super slow. And I guess I'm really bored, I assume, and I'm hot. And I'm like, well, I'm hot. And we're not going fast enough. And I'm just like complaining the whole time. And then we finally get out and we go on the trail, and it's the same thing. I'm like, when are we going to go fast, Daddy? When are we going to go fast, Daddy? And so we begin going fast, or not fast, but faster. My dad's like, okay, you can put a little speed to it. So there's like are going fast, and there's a fast for a 6 or 7-year-old. There's a big thick rope with this big chain clasp at the end that they would use to like tie up the horses. So it's a big sturdy thing. And neither of us saw it, I guess. So I was like going fast down this trail in the woods, and it went and it hit me right in the middle of the head. And so we went home, and my mom, of course, was like, oh, this is my worst nightmare. And my dad was like, this is my worst nightmare. And I was okay. I just had a very big knot, but it would be the like predecessor to like my mom would always say every time I went somewhere with my dad, I would come back injured. Like it was like there was like always something that happened where I would have some sort of battle scar, if you will. But all to say, so that was our day out with our first horse. And we, after that, I needed some time away, of course, as one would and my dad was like, Bree, we have the saddle. We've only used it once. Do you want to maybe go back out on the horse again? And I was like, I think it was too hot out there for me. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, I think maybe doing riding horses is too hot for me. I don't think I really want to do it. And my dad goes, okay. And we never did it again. That was it. And we sold the saddle, and that was that. But I always think about that because it's a real jumping off point for the rest of my life, I think. So that's my story.
Oh, that poor little girl getting whacked in the head.
Yeah.
It hurts me to think about it. But oh man, I think we've all taken our shots to the head every once in a while. But
Yes.
and I think the idea of it being too hot afterwards is probably well said on your part.
Yeah.
But so the saddle's used once. Now, fast forward.
Yes.
How do you think that particular moment impacted your life?
Yeah. I think that I was thinking a lot today about like what story I was going to tell. And I felt like I have so many like little stories from childhood, but I picked this one because it felt like a very good representation of like the support system I had throughout my childhood, and always gave me a launch. My dad specifically, he is so fearless, and he was always, in his eyes, I don't think there was anything I could never do. And like having that, and then like growing up and being like, I'm actually interested in something completely different than the world that you are all in, and I'm going to pursue that. And they never batted an eye, and they were only there to like help uplift. And so that's like when I was thinking about what to tell, I was like, oh, I have to tell that, because that is such a like, my dad was like, you don't want to do that? Okay, what do we want to do? And that was kind of like what we always did growing up.
I got great respect for the man because the family's bidding on this saddle, thinking, it's like this big moment. And it was a big moment that you won it. But I mean, you're trying to. And then for you to just go, all right, that's it. And I don't know your father, but I got a feeling that in his mind, he blames himself for that event and probably thinks, but for that, my daughter might be in the rodeo or something. I don't know.
Right. Right. I know. It's so funny because I ended up going on and doing like FFA and 4-H, which, yes. And I would do, I raised lambs because in my head, I was like, okay, I didn't do rodeo. This is something my dad enjoys. I'll do that. And then in turn, my dad was building the sets for the play. Yeah, he would come and he would build all my sets from all my plays from when I was in second grade until I graduated. I just I can't imagine how he his whole life thinking his daughter would be doing this, and then I was I'm actually gonna do something so different, and he never once batted an eye. I was okay, that didn't work. This is, and a lot of people don't have that luxury. It's they go into the family business, they go into something, and so I just felt very lucky in that regard.
Yeah, amen to that. I think that I don't know your family, your
right.
parents, but I have great respect for that. The ability to just pivot or whatever is to say, look, she tried it, she's done with it. You moved on to something else, didn't bat an eye, and started working on your sets, as you said, or just adjusted to your interests. And that's really a gift. You're right. I think you do have a gift. You were given a gift for that, I should say. And it's probably made you a stronger person, don't you think? You can tell your family anything that, you're going to do this now, or you feel have you shifted jobs and careers and as time has gone on with ease, or is there a sense that do you feel like somehow that support has really helped you as an adult? I mean, you sort of said you did.
Yeah, I really do. I feel very especially with jobs, and I think going into being an actor, which knowing that maybe your day job is not as steady as what some would hope for. But my parents have always been such cheerleaders of, if that didn't work out, well, let's go to the thing that does work out. Let's try the next thing until we find something that works out. And I think with me too, I always feel so empowered because of that, to be a bit more critical thinker in the work that I do, of what is fulfilling me and sustaining me in that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
I
don't know them, but I like them. That's all I can tell you.
Yes, they're great. They're so great. Especially, I mean, they're from this small Texas town, and they come to Chicago and see me do improv, and I'm you probably don't know what they had no idea what that was before I started doing it 2 years or 5 years ago now. But it's so funny. They come and watch the Herald, and then my mom would be like, "Well, I loved when you talked," and I was thanks.
Well, Well, thank you, Bree. I appreciate you being on the show. And I'm sort of inspired by your story in the sense that I've already raised my children, but I hope that they felt as supported as you seem to have been, which is fantastic. And I think everybody should hopefully feel what you felt in your life. But thank you for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It was so lovely. I was so looking forward to this all day. So thank you.
All right. Well, that's our show. I'd like to thank our guest, Bree Lind. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Sidelining Publishing, publishers of quality books, and LaughSaver.com. Visit LaughSaver.com and record your laughter. We'll keep it for you now and forever. I'm going to sign off a little differently today. In honor of Bree Lind, I'm going to end with Susan Salidor's classic, The Boo Boo Blues. Until next time, this is Jay Riak asking you all to stay safe out there and try not to hurt anybody.
I've had some boo-boos, baby. I've had the boo-boo blues. Yeah, I've had some boo-boos, honey. I've been like you. Let me see your boo-boo, sugar. Ooh, A boo-boo late at night. A boo-boo anytime at all. Well, it just isn't right. Everyone's got some boo-boos, baby. We've got the boo-boo blues. We all have boo-boos, honey. Even me and even you. I've had some boo-boos, baby. I've had the boo-boo blues. Yeah, I've had some nasty boo-boos, honey. I've been like you. Let me see your boo-boo. I'm sure that hurts you, honey. And you're crying, you're crying, you're crying, boo. A boo-boo in the morning, a boo-boo late at night, a boo-boo anytime at all. Well, it just isn't right. We've got some boo-boos, baby. We've got the boo-boo blues. We all have boo-boos, honey. Let mama fix it for you.